Hello, everybody, and welcome to My Boomer Buddies podcast, where we tell it like it was and is. I'm your host, Rick Reed, and we have two wonderful guests. We have, first of all, the mother of this Boomer Buddy, Muggs Reed. Muggs, welcome back.
Glad to be back.
We're going to talk about something very special today. I think the opening theme gave a clue, but first I got to welcome Mr. John Hayes. John did a wonderful job of researching this show, and I'm really looking forward to a game that he put together to test my mother and myself on American Bandstand. Welcome back, John.
Thank you, Rick. It remains an honor to be considered a Boomer Buddy. It's great to be back. Great to work with Muggs again.
It's great to have you both here. John, let's get started. Tell us about American Bandstand.
The TV show American Bandstand, was hosted by a man who never seemed to age, and his name was Dick Clark. American Bandstand aired from 1952 through 1989. Originally, the show was hosted and broadcast in the Philadelphia area, and then in 1957, the ABC television network picked up the show and broadcast it nationally. The initial broadcast was on a weekday basis. Time slot was in that afternoon or after school time slot. Starting then in 1963, the show went to a Saturday afternoon broadcast on a weekly basis. In 1964, the show moved to Los Angeles from Philadelphia, and then the next big milestone is that the show started to broadcast in color in 1967.
Muggs Reed, you were a teeny bopper. You were with that show from the beginning. So based on what John just said, what are your recollections from the day one when you saw it?
Well, from day one, 3:00 in the afternoon, I believe it came on. And I was still a teen. I was 19, I think. And you were a new baby. I think you were like maybe 4 or 5 months old. And we danced together to bandstand every day.
I don't remember quite that far, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
You're shaking, rattling me around. That's probably part of the problem I have.
Yeah.
It does explain, Mom, why I love music so much, because you introduced it to me from the beginning. Now, there's so much to American Bandstand. John, you mentioned that Dick Clark was the host on the national. And in Philadelphia, it did start out with somebody else. I think his name was Bob Horn. He did the show, but he was a truly unlikable guy by all accounts from what I read. And Dick Clark replaced him locally in 56 and carried it for a while. In fact, some of the kids who were regulars in Bob Horn's favorite that he featured every show, they picketed outside, and Dick Clark's like, oh, well, I want everybody to be happy. So he went outside and he said, look, this was not my decision. That's nice that you like Mr. Horn and everything, but they chose me to do it now. And I tell you what, I'm going to go back in and continue the show. And you're welcome to come in and be part of it, but there's simply nothing I can do about it. Well, he went back in. They came in the door, the teenagers that were picketing, and they left their signs at the door and they joined back in. So that's a little tidbit. But Dick Clark, John, you're right. He's the face of American Bandstand when they went national and made it big. Dick Clark was the oldest teenager until he died.
I think he was only about 26 years old when he started on the show.
Yeah, I
So
think
he
you
was
are
really young himself, and he looked young.
Yeah, he was what they were looking for, because Mr. Horn, I don't mean to beat up on him, but he was not an attractive man, and he was quite a bit older. He's kind of an old school gruff guy, and he did what was best for him, and he wasn't very well thought of in a lot of circles. Enter Dick Clark. Dick Clark had everything that Mr. Horn did not have, and he took it to the biggest heights, especially when they went national. John and Muggs, this might be a good time to show an example of an early bandstand episode where there's a young teenage couple dancing. And by the way, there's a couple of high schools right next door, and they were the ones that came, and a lot of the dancers became famous. I know my mother knows many of their names. She can look at them and get all excited. So let's look at something from the archive of one of the early shows that shows the dress code, The guys had to wear suits and the girls could not wear slacks. Let's look at the young teenagers dancing and check out the hairstyles and the dance moves.
I love my Dinah. Love my Dinah. There ain't no girl that is finer than my rock and rollin' Dinah. Diddy Dinah. Diddy Dinah. I love the squeezer. I love the Caesar. No one else can have my Dinah, 'cause my Dinah is a minor. Pretty Dinah. Pretty Dinah. Bonnie, Maroney, Peggy Sue. Ain't gals that are so very true. But with Madonna, I sure knew there's nothing for me she wouldn't do. Oh, that's my Dinah. My own Dinah. And there's no gal I know can beat her when it comes to being sweeter than my Dinah. Dinah.
All right. I am just dying to get your take on this, Mom. First of all, do you know who that couple is?
That's Ken and Arlene.
Ken and Arlene. Yeah, and they were regulars, correct?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So just curious, John, go ahead and jump in too if you have any observations. But it seems to me, and I know Dick Clark said this, he said, it's like watching people through a window. You're people watching to see what's going on every day, and you rush home from wherever you are to see what's going on. It's the happening thing. Is that fair?
That's very fair. You know, there were so many kids that wanted to be on that show. They had a waiting list. I think there were like 3 high schools around there, and they had applications of about 5,000 kids.
Wow.
I heard, yeah, at one
Oh,
time. Did you hear that too, John? Did you see that?
I didn't hear that one. I'm more impressed with the style of dress. I mean, they're all clean cut and
Oh,
dressed
yeah.
very nicely, and yeah, they're impressive young members of the generation there.
In their manners. And they could not chew gum. I know that.
and that was a big thing back then, chewing bubble gum, right? Chewing gum.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
One thing that I noticed, a really cool hairdo, and we'll talk about the hairdos along the way too. They started out with
Okay.
ponytails, some of them too, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have the full video link to this clip right here in the show notes. So go ahead and check that out. If you're watching on YouTube, check it out there. And if you're on Spotify or Buzzsprout, it's on the show notes there. Obviously, you can't watch what's going on, but you can see for yourself exactly what we're talking about. So let me back it up a hair, and then we'll finish this clip out. And then we'll get to the next phase of what we're going to talk about. Here we go.
And there's no gal I know can beat her when it comes to being sweeter than my Dinah. Diddy Dinah. Bonnie, Maroon, and Peggy Sue. Ain't got that are so very true. But with Madonna, I sure knew there's nothing for me she wouldn't do. Oh, that's my Dinah. My own Dinah. There's no gal I know can beat her when it comes to being sweeter than my Dinah. Diddy Dinah. Diddy Dinah. Diddy Dinah. Diddy Dinah. Diddy Dinah.
There you have it. Early bandstand. One of the big deals they did was they do a spotlight dance, and then the other people would jump in from the crowd. And the ages were 13 to 18. Did you see any other people, Mom, that you recognized?
Well, that face, the last girl that was dancing, you know, I showed her dancing. She was my favorite, Pat Military. And then I did not see the sweethearts of the bandstand, Bob and Justine. I didn't see them on there, but I'm sure that maybe you have other clips. I don't know. But
John, firsthand memories right here of a bandstand fan. every day. I was there too, apparently.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it, Mom. John, you're right. They're very clean cut, and I can see why parents wouldn't mind their teenagers watching that. They made rock and roll safe with this show. That is a fact. Because before it
Absolutely.
was the devil's music. Dick Clark brought it to the forefront and made it acceptable with fine young people on the show. Just love that clip.
Well, I think a lot of people watched it because of the guests he would have on the show. I mean, he had some really, from Prince to everybody.
Yeah, he had on over 10,000 guests in the run of it. And you probably have more information on that, John. So
No, I had the same thing you did. It was over 10,000 performances on the show.
Hmm.
I'm obviously a bandstand veteran watcher, but it was more towards the late 60s, early 70s, where the wheelhouse for my mother was at the mid 50s into the 60s. Part of the success of this show, and there were copycats, but it was the format of this show, some of the features they had within. So go ahead and tell us some of the features that made it successful.
I'll say the show changed from the 50s through the 80s. How could it not? But some of the constants that we saw in the show included the current rock and roll music, or later you could consider it possibly pop music, and the people from the audience dancing. Also featured one or two musical guests where they would come on the show and they would perform their current hit. And I'm going to use the word perform loosely because most likely they're lip syncing, but still really cool to see your favorite performers
Sure,
and singing their hit
sure.
songs. Another feature that I enjoyed was the rate a record, where
Yeah.
two audience members would be asked to evaluate a new song and they would give it a ranking from 35 to 98 and then discuss why the the song met their expectations or fell below their expectations. Do you guys have any memories of the rate a record segment?
Well, I know what they usually said. Are you going to say it, Mom? Go ahead.
It's good to dance to.
It's got a good beat
It's
and
got
it's
a good
easy to
beat. It's
dance
good.
to.
Easy to dance to.
And that probably happened from the mid 50s all the way to the end of the 80s, right? I remember it.
Okay. And a segment that I forgot, and it's my wife, Mrs. Hayes, her favorite segment. She said, "Well, do you remember the dance contest?" I did not. So through my research, I found they had an annual dance contest. The initial contest where they'd have 10 couples, eventually pare that down to five, three, and then select a grand champion. But the dance contest, early versions, Dick Clark and the staff would judge the participants. And then later on, when they got into the late 60s, early 70s, you could a write a letter and tell them your favorite couple, and only one letter per household. And then later in the 1980s, do you guys remember this? They went to the 1-900 phone line where it cost you 50 cents a call, but you could call and vote for your favorite contestant. Now, keep in mind, of that 50 cents you had to pay, American Bandstand made a little bit of profit on that too. So
Sure.
I thought it was interesting doing that. But then I'm researching this and I decided to do a bit of a deep dive on the dance contest prizes. Are you guys ready for this?
Let's go.
So in 1967, the dance contest prizes featured a Craig car stereo, 10 8-track hit cassettes, a Boulevard transistor radio, 12 record albums courtesy of Columbia House, American Tourister luggage, and the grand prize was a Magnavox color TV. So that was 1967. Now, just 3 years later, in 1970, they stepped up their prize game a bit. So 1970, the prizes featured an Arvin portable cassette player, Princess Gardner leather accessories, a Presto electric shoe polisher, Farrah slacks, a Flint coat peel and stick tiles so you can make your own dance floor at home. But kids,
Whoa.
please get your parents' permission before you make your own dance floor. Don't
Oh my
uproot
gosh.
the carpet or anything like that. Also, they gave away a stellar mini bike, a color console TV, and the grand prize winners got a free trip to Hawaii. So
Ooh,
quite a difference in 3 years there.
yeah.
And then, of course, I went to 1981, so 11 years later. So in 1981, the prizes included the dress wardrobe from Funky, and Funky was a clothing manufacturer, I guess, a wardrobe from Angel's Flight, a Zenith portable cassette radio, a television, video game, AM/FM chain-driven moped, a Kai stereo equipment, and any game show had to feature rain dance car wax. Along with the grand prize winners won a 1981 Mazda GLC Sport. How about that? So I wondered
Wow.
too, like today, which one lasted longer, the Mazda GLC Sport or the AMF chain-driven moped? I don't know. But I don't know if neither brand is known for their quality. But I thought it was fascinating that the prizes they had for the dance contest. I thought, oh
Somebody
yeah,
might
oh yeah.
still have the
I
8-track
wish I had it.
player, the red one.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, John, because the prizes from transistor radio all the way up to a car.
A trip to Hawaii would be a nice little prize, even if it's for a couple days. I mean, it's Hawaii, by the way.
Absolutely.
Really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, the dance contest, I'm glad you spotlighted that because I remembered that, but I really don't remember the prizes that much. You said it was once a year.
Yes.
That's probably why. And then, Mom, you were really into the formative years when it was pretty basic and primitive. So you had yearly dance contest. You had a spotlight dance where we just saw Mom's couple there, and then the rest joined in. You have the Raider record, which I can remember getting mad when they played a song that was really good and they didn't give it a good rating.
Mhm.
So I must have been invested in the show a little bit too.
Yeah,
Maybe not as much as you, Mom, but I
yeah,
enjoyed it. And I think the fashions, getting back to that just for a second, it started to loosen up in the early 60s with the tie and everything. Like you said, John, you got to change with the times. But the formula, for the most part, did stay the same. And Dick Clark never aged. And he had an open mind about the songs, too. That's another thing we should touch on. That made all the difference in the world. If he was lending a deaf ear to the popular music, the show wouldn't have succeeded because the kids know what they like. They don't want to do their parents' music. The show had to stay with the current teenagers, 13 to 18.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, when you think about that, the early stages of rock and roll. So the show went from those early rock and roll hits into the 60s, late 60s. We entered the disco era in there, and then into the 80s, the pop music. Yeah, he kept step with what was popular.
And going back to the Bob Horn days, you had what, Patty Page? You didn't have rock and roll. You had the popular songs, the McGuire sisters, the early stuff that evolved even more once Dick Clark took over.
In addition to that, Dick Clark also revealed the weekly top 10, where he would do a little bit of a countdown, the top 10 biggest songs for the week. And I found great enjoyment in that, just to keep step on what is the current music, what is popular nowadays.
And it was kind of a little bit of drum roll excitement seeing how smooth that slider would pull out. Is it going to get stuck? No, what is the top song of this week? Yeah, it was a little drama there. It was a good feature.
I was impressed going back to the Raider record. I was a bit of a math geek when I was a kid, and I was really impressed at how quickly Dick Clark could add those two scores together, divide by two, and get the average. I was like, he was quick with that. That was really cool.
Well, school testings have gone downhill since then. So, but you're right, he was pretty sharp. And another thing I think we should touch on how smooth of an interviewer he was. He could think on his feet, and they did commercials during the show too. It was very smooth. And he used the same microphone throughout, that long microphone.
yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
He sometimes held it with two hands. Sometimes looking back, when he interviewed some of the guests who may have been, how should I put it, under the influence, they didn't always give the best answers, and he really had to be good on his feet to interview those people.
Yes, and this will make another appearance later in this segment, but if you have time, go to YouTube and search for Dick Clark interviewing Prince on Prince's first show. That is one of the most awkward interviews. And years later, Dick Clark just chalked it up. He said, "Oh yeah, Prince is he's very nervous and very shy." But watching that real time, I remember watching that real time and just cringy. It was just a super awkward interview. But Dick Clark rolled with it. He said, "Yeah, he's nervous. He was shy, whatever," and
Yeah,
moved on.
true. And he was only 19 years old.
Yeah.
That can make a difference as well.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So what's next, John?
The next topic is the American Bandstand guests.
Okay, the guests. There were
Yes.
a lot of guests on that show.
But first, I'm going to throw this out to both of you. Can you guess the person? He's widely credited of making the most guest appearances on American Bandstand. Did you guys uncover that in your research, or have any idea who this could be?
I happen to know the answer to this, so I'm going to let my mom take a crack at it.
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. Wasn't Chuck Berry, was it? No.
No. What if I give a hint? Palisades Park.
Down at Palisade Park. Oh, I want to say not Paul Revere and the Raiders. Oh, I know. Cannon, Freddie Cannon. Yeah,
How many times was he on?
Freddie Cannon with 110.
yeah.
I mean, I could only name one of his songs, "The Palisades Park," and what did he do when he came? I mean, did he have a bunch of? Did he start singing other people's songs, or I mean, why
He
was he
he
on there so much?
he did have a lot of songs, and he was local, so he's always available and always willing to be promoted.
Yeah, I was going to say he's from Philly, so
Lived really close to the studio, like,
But that's a great question. John brought the A game today. What else do you have? Do you have another question for us?
well, I have more than one question. Now is the part of the show that I thought we would insert a little game. So this is
Okay.
between you and Muggs. So what
Oh
I'm going
boy.
to do, I'm going to take turns, and I'm going to say an artist who has appeared on American Bandstand, and then
Okay.
you have to guess the year of their first appearance.
Of their first appearance.
First appearance, yeah.
Oh,
So that could be misleading. So it'd be,
that's going to be tough. That's
yeah,
that's going to
yeah.
be tough. I'm glad we got the Freddie Boom Boom Cannon one right to at least start with.
All right, so I'm going to start with Muggs on this one. So Muggs, Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash has been on American Bandstand. So what year did Johnny Cash make his first appearance?
probably 62.
Oh, I was going to give Rick a turn, but that is the exact answer.
Is it really?
1962.
Okay.
All right, point for Muggs. Nice one.
I'm glad you went first because I was going to say 59. Good for you,
Yeah.
All
Mom.
right, yeah, nice one. All right, we mentioned this earlier. This artist just a couple minutes ago, but Prince. Prince has been on American Bandstand. What year was Prince on American Bandstand? I'll start with you, Rick. Give you.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, he was 19. So I'm going to say 1979.
Okay, Muggs. How about you? Do you have a guess?
I would say probably 77.
All right, it was 1980, so Rick gets the point for that
Oh,
one.
okay.
A nice one,
All
Rick.
right.
All right, I'll start with Muggs now. Rick, this kind of ties back to our earlier broadcast or earlier show, but from the Riflemen, Johnny Crawford was on American Bandstand. And Muggs, will start with you. What year was Johnny Crawford on
Oh,
American Bandstand? What year did he make his first
gosh.
appearance?
Um, probably probably 65.
Okay, Rick, how about you? You have a guess for the Johnny
I'm going to
Crawford
say,
appearance?
well, Cindy's birthday. When did that come out? I mean, I was
Oh,
pretty young to really know the
Great
years. I'm going to say probably 1963.
Oh, nice. It was 1961.
oh,
So we'll give Rick the point for that one. Nice work.
okay.
All right, next we're going to Rick. This is yours. Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly. Let's see. I think his first hit was "That'll Be the Day," and his first appearance on Bandstand, 57, 1957. I'm going to say the year I was born.
Exactly. 1957.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, Muggsy, you got that one right on the nose. You're a
Did you know that
historian,
one?
Rick.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I would have guessed, but
Oh, nice, nice. This one,
so,
and just, I tried looking for a video of this. I could not find it. It's Muggs' turn. This group did make an appearance in American Bandstand. Aerosmith.
oh,
oh gosh.
I
Um,
would love to see that, but Aerosmith was on American Bandstand.
I
What year
didn't
did that
see it.
happen?
I have no idea. Probably. I'm just making a guess here. 80.
Okay. Rick, how about you?
I'm going to say 1976.
It was 1973
Wow.
that Aerosmith appeared. Their only appearance at American Bandstand was 1973.
Yeah, Steven Tyler probably blew it for him.
All right, Rick. Next one for you. I will for this one. It's Dion, and we'll consider Dion and Dion and the Belmonts the same entity. So Dion and the Belmonts. What year did they make their first appearance at American Bandstand?
Oh, Mom, you got to get this one. I'm going to say 1957 or 8. I got to narrow it down. I'll go with 1958.
Oh, that's it exactly.
Oh, okay.
1958.
Because I was thinking,
Wow.
he went on the Winter Dance Party the next year
Oh, nice.
in, in Clear Lake, Iowa, right?
Yeah,
So I just did a little logic. So 58.
nice one. Nice one. You're a music historian. All right, the last one. Muggs, this is for you. Linda Carter.
Oh, come on. Wonder Woman. Um,
Oh, trick question, trick question. Linda Carter is a fine singer, but she was never on American Bandstand. So that was a trick question,
oh,
but
I was going to say,
nice try.
Mother, here's the thing. John has a contract with me that every time he's on the show, I have to show or mention Linda Carter because,
okay, okay, you got me there. I was thinking, okay,
well, a young boomer, John
yeah, I
Hayes,
know.
loves
Yeah.
her.
Yeah,
All right,
And
so
he
we
loves
have
his wife
I
too.
remember you saying
absolutely,
that.
Yeah.
absolutely. All right,
Well,
Rick, I show you 5-1 in
well,
this game.
it's all because of my mother. I wouldn't have the interest if I wasn't getting rocked in her arms watching
Hmm.
Bandstand, right?
Hmm.
It all
Yeah.
comes back.
Some of those I was too busy with all the others to know, so you were probably watching when I wasn't. I don't know.
You had 6 kids. It's your own fault, Mom.
Yeah, I dropped off on Bandstand a few years after it started, actually.
You're busy. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that was fun. Good
yeah,
segment.
Thank you.
that was fun. I have a question. Who wrote the theme song for Bandstand? Don't look
Who,
at it.
who wrote it?
Yeah, who was the
Well, are you talking about the one with the vocals or the instrumental one?
okay? Who was one of the?
Harry Mancini.
No, I think Barry Manilow,
He
the
did the
singer.
one with the lyrics, but the
Yeah,
instrumental part was written in
yeah,
1954.
halfway right, right.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Here's some American Bandstand tidbits. When they went national on American Bandstand, what was the first record that they played?
Round the clock.
Buddy Holly and the Crickets. That'll be the day.
That'll be the day. Okay.
First record. And who was the first performers on the national?
Buddy Holly.
The Chordettes and Billy Williams.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And who was the last performer on American Bandstand?
No idea.
Laura Branigan.
A good guess, but it was the Cover Girls.
Oh,
And another thing we should mention about American Bandstand, they eventually did integrate the audience. So they had blacks, whites, Hispanics, and they're also criticized for not doing that sooner. Who was the first black performer on Bandstand?
Chuck Berry.
It was early on, Dizzy Gillespie.
Oh my word. Oh,
Yeah.
that would really be in the early.
And American Bandstand was the first network show exclusively dedicated to rock and roll. I find that very interesting. Some of the first appearances, there's so many of them, and you did a great job with that game you came up with, John. But Paul Anka, he had Diana, and that was in 57. Danny and the Juniors at the Hop. We got to talk about some of the dances, Mom, that you witnessed.
Well, one I remember is the stroll. Do you remember the stroll?
Yes,
Come
I remember
stroll
because of
across the
you.
floor. Yeah. Right. And that was a really fun one to watch. Yeah.
And the Diamonds performed that song.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they also did Little Darlin'. And then, of course, the fashion, we saw that change. It went to the hairdos. You had the ponytails, and then you had the bouffants.
Mm-hmm.
And then they tried to rat them even higher, and they'd put a bow or a tiara in the hair.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became the long, straight hair, either parted in the middle or with the bangs. And that's for the women. And then, of course, later on, you got some perms and things like that. The men, you could see that they stopped wearing the ties and they wore collar shirts, and you had the disco look. It went on to weird styles. You had the flock of seagulls. John, this is probably more in your era, being the youngest boomer. The Flock of Seagulls hairstyle was so crazy. And then you had perms for men too, and longer hair, of course, along the way for men. So American Bandstand tested time, and it won for so many years until it ended in 1989.
Well, Dick Clark, he went on forever.
Yeah, $10,000 pyramid. He hosted game shows like that, and of course,
Yeah.
Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's.
New Year's Eve. Yeah.
And that's still called Dick Clark's, even though I think it's Ryan Seacrest has it now. It still has his name. So
Just think what he did for the pop culture in America.
Yeah, and even some rock and roll historians credit Dick Clark for making rock and roll more mainstream because you said it earlier, when rock and roll was first introduced, that was considered by some the devil's music.
Hmm.
And Dick Clark's natural rapport with the teenagers, his clean-cut image, made him and the music much more approachable by the parents of these teenagers. Dick Clark had an older brother who tragically lost his life in World War II.
Oh,
okay.
I think it was out or during the Battle of the Bulge, I believe. Yeah, an
really?
older brother. Yeah, older brother lost his life. Yeah, yeah.
Oh. Well, how old was Dick Clark when he died? Was he around in 80s, 85, something like that?
I'm going to guess 82.
Well, he was born in 1929 and he died in 2012.
82 years old he was when he died. He
82.
died in 2012, Mom. You're right. Another 82. We just did 4 shows on people that died at 82, or one was a month shy of it.
Early in his career, even though his birth name was Richard or Dick Clark, early in his radio career, Dick Clark went by the alias of Dick Clay. And I don't know if you remember this about me, Rick. I don't like people who use aliases. I'm not for that at all.
I know
He
you're
was
a
Dick
stickler on.
Clay.
Yeah, do not use aliases. Hey, just a reminder that My Boomer Buddies podcast is on YouTube, and we've got probably about 80 shows that we put in the can. Go ahead and check out episodes that you like. We do TV shows, we do movies, we do music, we do one hit wonders, another part of the music, and we do history. So please check it out. Also, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Especially if you're watching on YouTube, I want to hear what you have to say. And if you're listening on Buzzsprout or Spotify, go ahead and email me at myboomerbuddies4@gmail.com. And I'll pass it along to the Boomer Buddy guests that we have on regularly. And I want to thank all of them. Terry Walsh wanted to be here, but she's battling something health-wise, and we wish her a speedy recovery. So today we talked about the icon, Dick Clark, American Bandstand, and we'll bring you more content like this. I want to thank today's guests, John Hayes and Muggs Reed, for being on the show. For My Boomer Buddies podcast, I'm Rick Reed. Until next time, we'll see you
Around the block.
Long live rock and roll. It was fun. It took me back a little bit.